What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in on today's video. I know it's been a while, but we're going to jump right into this video. We've got a new truck, a new 6-liter, new to us, that we're going to be going over some of the stuff that we've already done, as well as some of the issues that we're having with the truck. I'm also going to give you guys a small-ish update on the race truck here. It is in the barn, so that's progress. And we're going to kind of go over some of the things that we've been doing off camera, and then I can show you guys the new truck. So stay tuned for today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's jump into it. So the race truck here, we are kind of prepping this thing, getting it ready for our engine, which is currently at CNC fabrication. You can see we have eliminated our basically everything in the HVAC system. So your heater and AC, everything is eliminated over there. We're doing some wiring. We're going to be eliminating a lot of the factory wiring that's needed for all that stuff over there. So we're going to have as little wiring as possible going across our header panel there. I did make some small modifications up here to hopefully make it easier for engine removal and installation. Not that we're going to be doing it a lot. Inside of the truck, it is still the factory interior inside of here, but we did pull the dash off, and we got rid of all of our ductwork back here. And I think that was pretty much it. Back here, we still need to do some work. This place is a mess. But you can see over here all of the components that we've deleted. Oh, our windshield washer fluid, gone. See you later. There's our heater box right there. Here is all of our vents sitting behind our dash there. We've also have our AC condenser and our transmission cooler as well, because we're going to be going to a fan setup that's actually going to be in the back here. So we don't need all of that up front. But guys, this is quite a bit of weight. There were some miscellaneous brackets that we were able to eliminate as well. Oh yeah, these puppies, gone. See you later. Don't need those. Vacuum pump, not gonna need that. Whatever. But yeah, so quite a bit of weight. We've got both battery boxes as well. Those are removed because, again, we're moving our batteries to the back here. We're trying to eliminate as much weight as possible, but stuff that we need to keep, like our trans cooler, like our batteries, that weight we're going to try and move to the back of the truck, because obviously there is zero weight back here. So that's kind of the goal, is at least moving a lot of the weight that's on the front end and getting it back here, while also eliminating weight along the way. So the goal here is to be under 5,000 pounds. Careful. Whoa. Hey. Careful. So we're trying to keep the interior somewhat relatively stock. We're going to be going to racing seats in here. We might do something with the steering wheel. I don't know about how I feel about airbags just yet, but we might be eliminating the airbags as well. ABS, we're keeping ABS. Like I said, not sure about the airbags yet. So a lot of this stuff over here is going to remain pretty much the same, but a lot of the weight came from that side of the vehicle. So yeah, pretty gnarly. So I didn't feel the need to pick up the camera and show you guys me just blowing this thing apart and ripping and tearing things out of the truck. So I just kind of wanted to do a short update for that. We're getting really close, guys. You guys, oh my goodness. You guys have ordered so many up pipes. I am so happy that everybody has had real good success with them. I see it on Facebook. You guys are recommending my up pipes. I really appreciate all of the support that goes along with that, as well as all the guys that are getting t-shirts, hats, stickers. The diff cover kits have been a hit. The coolant filters have been a hit. I've got an up pipe laying right here. That one's going to be shipping out tomorrow. And then I've got another 10 coming in on Friday. So, yeah, just super thankful for everybody that's been supporting the channel in that way. We're really close to pulling the trigger on those new aluminum icon heads from Kill Devil Diesel that are going to be going on the race truck. So I'm super happy and just stoked and excited for that. But to make this video not so long, we're going to jump into the new truck, what we've been doing to it, and what we need to do to it. We've got some diagnostics to do that I'm going to be showing you today. So let's get on to it. So here is the truck. It is a 2003 6.0 Powerstroke, and it has, let's see, 208,000 miles on it. It is a Lariat interior, so we do have leather seats in here. You can see this; these are kind of tore up, especially the driver's one always is. There's like paint all over the place. Look at that big old paint spot. So the interior needs a little bit of love, but the rear doors work. Rust isn't terrible. There's definitely some rust though. Cab corners were cut out. It does have a rust-free Texas bed on it though. Obviously it's the wrong color. So that's kind of nice. Does kind of gooseneck plate. The bumper is actually in really good shape. It's just missing a couple of these plastics. So that's not too bad. The rims and tires. These rims and tires are brand new. So these rims are from Black Rhino wheels. And then they are a Nito Dura Grappler highway terrain. Brand new rims and tires. This is like a $2,000 setup. This bed is like $2,500 here in Michigan. So that was pretty cool. It does have the lights and the mirrors. Here is underneath the hood. You can see he's got his coolant filter. That's routed all weird. And then it's missing this front plate here, or fan shroud portion right there. But it does have a coolant filter. We do seem to be losing coolant. We are also leaking oil, but if you look down there, that is a stud. So somebody did head studs in this. Look at that. Nice bolt right where the filter minder goes. '03. When we bought this truck, the guy told me that it did not run, which the batteries were dead. So I hauled it back to my place, and the first thing I had to do was put batteries in it just so I could check codes, see what was going on with it. So we checked codes, we checked the oil level. There was one code for there were two codes, one for a brake switch circuit fault, and then there was also a glow plug control module fault of some sort. And yeah, we put batteries in it, we cranked on it, and we watched oil rail pressure come up, and she came alive. So not sure what kind of issues he was having, but he said it died out on him going down the road, and then it wouldn't restart. So but we haven't had any starting issues up to this point. The truck starts right up. So there is the oil leak, and it does seem like it does crank for a minute longer than it should. So I don't know if it's losing oil pressure at, somewhere in the system. Obviously it's leaking down because it does take a minute for it to finally gain that high pressure oil. One thing we did already do, we did check the fuel pressure in the truck, and the fuel pressure was like 45 psi. We ended up doing the fuel filters in the truck and redid the fuel pressure test and managed to gain 10 psi just by changing the fuel filters. But I will show you guys this little baby. If you guys know what this is a lock tent, or this is the little key ring that sits in the bottom of your fuel filter. See that in there? Okay, and that locks with the standpipe inside. This is the upper fuel filter that locks with the standpipe in there. And so there were actually two of these stacked on top of each other when I changed the fuel filter. So there was definitely an issue with that. And we gained 10 psi of fuel pressure just by changing the fuel filters. So now that fuel pressure is good, we're still getting a little bit of a stutter. So if we go wide open throttle, we get a nice stutter in the truck, kind of chugs, loss of power. And then obviously and then at like 1500 RPMs, like if we just sit here at idle and we rev it up to 1500 RPMs, you can feel it like misfiring. So we might have an injector issue or injectors going out. We might have a high pressure oil system issue as well. Maybe a pump is going out. Not really too sure. That's some of the stuff we're going to be diagging right now. I've got the Ford IDS that we're going to be hooking up to the truck, and we're going to monitor some stuff, and I'm going to kind of go through it with you guys. So a couple other little things. We did do rear brakes on the truck, so you can see we've got all new calipers, pads, and rotors in the rear here. We had to make a little fix right there. They had the wrong fitting right there, and so we had to make that repair. And then they also had the calipers on the wrong side, and then they were both seized. So yeah, it was a nightmare. But we've got both of those on there. Everything is new back here. For the front end, we did do 2 new wheel bearings up front here and 2 new U-joints and then the associated seals. This wheel bearing was bad, so we got that swapped out with a new one. OEM U-joint, or Spicer U-joint, I should say. Get a good look at that. Yeah. Greased everything that's greasable on the steering components, and we checked out the ball joints. Ball joints are tight, so we didn't have to worry about anything like that. So yeah, now that the truck is safe to drive, well, I think it's safe to drive, we are going to get IDS hooked up to her and see what we can diagnose. So this is Ford IDS. So what does that stand for? It stands for Integrated Diagnostic Software. It is the program that Ford uses in order to be able to communicate with these trucks. So it is the best of the best when it comes to trying to figure out what the heck's up with these 6.0 Powerstrokes. We can manipulate sensors with this system. We can, like, for example, we can increase VGT. We can increase it or decrease it. We can manipulate the IPR valve for different testing scenarios, which is really, really helpful if you're doing like an air leak test. We also have power balance on here and relative compression. Power balance kind of gives us some information about the injectors. Relative compression kind of gives us some information on whether we have a low compression scenario on a specific cylinder. So we're just going to do a quick self-test. We're going to check all of the DTCs and see what she comes up with. So when I first bought the truck, we cleared all of the DTCs in the computer. So check this out. We've got a crank sensor. We've got, that one's stupid. I wouldn't worry about that one. Glow plug module control circuit code. Glow plug control module communication fault. P1000, we don't care about that one. Throttle pedal position sensor switch D/F voltage correlation. That's an interesting one. And then an ICP sensor circuit intermittent. Yes, I like to see that. And then we've got a software incompatibility with FICM. This isn't a huge deal as far as this code goes. The 03 and 04 are a 7-pin. And then 04.5 and up, they go to just a 4-pin FICM. So most likely somebody replaced a FICM and they went from a 7-pin to a 4-pin. And so it's going to throw this code. It's a soft code, so you won't see this. Your check engine light won't come on. But we can actually program the FICM with the Ford IDS here. So we might do that just to get rid of that. But this one here, ICP sensor circuit intermittent, that's an interesting one. Most likely our ICP sensor has failed and is pushing oil through the sensor, which is giving us a intermittent signal issue or a circuit fault, most likely. This one's kind of interesting. I've come across this one a couple of times. Most likely our throttle pedal is junk. Switch D/F voltage correlation. So we might have to do some pinouts on that one, but most likely our throttle pedal down there, which is adjustable, so she's probably super expensive. And then our glow plug issue, most likely this is just a module. The module itself is bad. We will check the wiring though. Power, no, don't care about that one. And this is an interesting though, sensor A circuit range performance. So I don't usually look at all of this other stuff here. We can scroll up. Left front, brake warning, gem, 4-wheel drive high indicator circuit, 4-wheel drive low indicator circuit. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Ooh, oil pressure switch failure. This, I think, is part of our oil pressure issue. We're losing the low pressure oil side of things, and so it takes it a minute for it to start, and so it ends up throwing this because it says check gauges on the cluster, key ignition, don't care about those ones. ECU internal fault, look at that, wow. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and clear these. We're just going to get them all out of here. After clearing the codes, the glow plug module control circuit code came back, so we're going to have to do some pinout on that and see what we got going on there. But now we're going to cruise over to our data logger, and I'm going to show you guys the PIDs that I normally like to run. Anytime you have a crank no start scenario, these are going to be the PIDs that you want to monitor to see why it's not starting. So Ford IDS can read any and every module that the computer can read. So I like to look at battery voltage because that's very important. This one over here, CMP fault, that's your cam position sensor. So we want to see if there's a fault there. Well, then we've got DTC numbers. So while we crank on it, we want to see if there's any DTCs that pop up. We don't care about oil temp right now. We don't care about coolant temp. I select all 4 of these FICM ones. Obviously, we want 12 volts going in. We need to maintain 48 volts. And then we've also got FICM sync. So if we don't get FICM sync, truck's not going to start. And then I like to monitor IPR percentage right there. And we don't care about the injectors. I like to monitor ICP voltage, ICP pressure. We know we need 500 PSI to start, so I like to monitor that one. And going through here. And then we have sync right here. So sync, your normal sync before you have FICM sync, this is your cam and crank sensor. So your cam and crank sensor sync together to know which cylinder is at top dead center. And then that sends that information to the PCM. And the PCM determines, the PCM will sync the FICM to know when to fire the injectors dependent on your cam and crank signal. So if you're not getting sync here, you're not going to get FICM sync. So that's why I like to have that one. And we can know if we have a cam position sensor issue by having this one selected. The only other one that you could select would be RPMs, which is over here. RPMs would be, will tell you if you have a crank sensor issue potentially. You need 150 to 200 RPMs while cranking in order to get sync from your crank sensor. If you have less than that, the truck will not start. Your cam sensor up here, like I said, if that goes to a fault, then you will not get sync and the truck will not start. So we can come down here, check that off. So now, before we even try to start the truck, a couple of things we want to look for here. So right up here, we've got the CMP fault. We have no fault currently. That's good. We know what 3 codes we have, so that's no big deal. FICM sync, we're not cranking on it, so we're not going to have sync. And then this one sync, not going to have it because we're not cranking on it yet. Battery voltage, 12 volts. FICM supply voltage, 12 volts, good. 48 volts coming in. Supply voltage, 12, good. ICP, you can see we're sitting at 30 PSI roughly right now. ICP voltage, 22 volts. That is a little high for these early trucks. Usually the 03 and early 04 where the ICP is in the back. Generally that's a little bit lower. So this is more accurate of a 04.5 and up ICP sensor. They are different. And so normally I would see 0.23, 0.24. But on this early one, this should be a little bit lower than this. Usually, I want to say like 20.2. IPR percentage is going to say 14 because we're not cranking on it, and RPMs are 0. So we're going to start cranking on it, and she's going to start, hopefully. So I'm just going to cycle the key, wait for the laptop to catch up, let our glow plugs go out, and crank on it. So you saw, you guys can go back, but you can saw we got sync, yes, no fault, battery voltage, FICM voltage, you can see our alternator hasn't kicked on yet, 48 volts, 48, 750, good, ICP is sitting at 800. ICP voltage is good. IPR is like 26%. That's beautiful. And RPMs are like 600. Looking good. So now we are on the power balance. And power balance is going to show us the condition of the injectors. So this is where each injector is going to compensate for each other. So if you have a weak injector, another injector is going to try and compensate for that, or the other several injectors are going to try and compensate for that injector. So what's cool about IDS is you can take away compensation, and that will tell you where your weak injectors are. So you can see this injector here, number 4, 5, and 6 are both below the normal threshold. So this is the ideal threshold. If you are at this or slightly above it, see these ones are good. I'm not too worried about those ones. This one's getting dragged down because of number 6, but we probably have an issue at least on number 5 and number 6. So now I'm going to cut these out and we're going to see how the truck reacts. So you can hear it. Bring that one back. Cut this one out. Bring that one back. See, so we have a noticeable difference when we cut those injectors out. So we know that they're working, we know that they're firing, they're currently not misfiring. Now supposedly these injectors were rebuilt. The guy didn't really have much information for me, so who knows if we can even really trust that. But we're gonna cruise over to a different test now. We're gonna just go to relative compression. And this feature is really cool. I'm gonna shut the truck off. That's the first thing we're gonna do. Ignition on. Fully depress the accelerator pedal to the floor, wide open throttle, and hold. So we're going to go all the way down, and then we're going to crank engine for 10 seconds or until test is complete. And so you can see our cylinders are all 0%. So that is good. Generally, anything below or anything more than like 5% is you might have a problem. But everything looks good here. So we're gonna go back to our data logger. All right, so we went for a little bit of a test drive. We got the truck somewhat warmed up. We're sitting at 147 oil temp, 150 coolant temp. I wanted to show you guys this. Go back to our power balance. You can feel it. Look at these injectors. Low, 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 low. Number 1, low. This is a new one, number 1. So I'm pretty confident we're gonna have to do a set of injectors in this truck. I don't even have compensation taken away. Let's take compensation away. See if anything changes. Oh, look at that. Look at these 3. And you can feel this. You can feel this misfire across the board. See, so number 1 kind of came back now. But these ones, look at them. They're hit. And then I'm going to go back to data logger. This is going to be really difficult to show you guys, but I want you to watch our ICP and our ICP voltage and our IPR. Watch those 3. I'm going to try to keep them in camera view. We're going to get after it a little bit. A little bumpy here. Hold on. We just came to a stop. Look at this power balance now. You can hear it. She's running like poo-poo. very abnormal. It's like just doing all sorts of weird stuff. Let's head over back to our data logger. You can see our IPR is kind of coming up a little bit. It's like 20. Our ICP is real jittery. Look at the voltage here. I mean, I feel like she's just barely running 600. She's in park now. You can see it cleaned up a little bit. I wonder if we've got an IPR issue. I mean, for sure we've got an ICP issue. Which might be messing with our IPR. So I know it's kind of hard to see in that video, but what we saw basically was that our ICP went way high, which is what we wanted to because we were into the throttle really pretty hard. Our voltage was like 4 volts, which is good. Our ICP was like 3,500, kind of tapped out at 4 grand. And then all of a sudden it tanked. It just fell right off. And that's when you start to feel that bucking while you're driving, and you can see the IPR tries to recover that. It jumps it up to 84% to try and recover that. So I don't know if this could be a high pressure pump issue. My guess is we've got an ICP that is failed. It's probably pushing so much oil through the sensor, it's not even funny. So that is going to be our next task. We're going to have to rip this thing apart. It does have the full intake manifold, so it's got the piece that goes across the back, which sucks, but we'll deal with it. We'll get that ICP sensor out of there. We'll get the IPR out and just check those things out and see how they look. I'm betting we're going to need a sensor and a pigtail, possibly an IPR. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. But that's going to be what's going to be rolling out over the course of the next few weeks here. This is the new project. We're going to be tearing into it and seeing what we can find. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe if you're new. Peace out.